Good afternoon to those of you in the Middle East and Europe. Good morning if you're signing in from the Americas, and good evening if in the Far East. On behalf of CPI industry, publishers of Climate Control Middle East magazine, a warm welcome to the 8th in the series of HVACR webinars. And this one is titled Smart HVAC Systems. My name is Surendra Balakrishnan, and I'm the co-founder and editorial director of CPI industry. Perhaps I'm stating the obvious, but IT-based, data-driven, granular solutions are essential for restoring occupant confidence at a time of heightened safety concerns through being able to offer remote control of building operations, through being able to predict possible fault lines in buildings, including relating to embedded air conditioning and ventilation technologies, and through being able to automate maintenance processes. We are at war with a virus that is calling upon us the need to maintain social distancing and is rudely disrupting O&M and broader facility management functions at a time when we need them to be at their clinical best. We are faced with the challenge of ensuring that all building performance enabling systems run smoothly with fewer personnel for monitoring them and for taking prompt and effective diagnostic action, owing to the need for social distancing and to comply with economic pressure to run a lean payroll roster. Safety and lean operations are not only about the COVID-19 pandemic though. Even in a pre-pandemic stage, we were in the grips of an economic slowdown, a situation that had fostered an acutely felt need to migrate to a lean roster. And agile, IT-based, data-driven solutions were showing the way forward. Today, we have an equally acute need for lean operations, combined with a need for remaining in a state of preparedness for any other disruptive event of this nature or of even a milder nature. These goals indeed give a mission-critical context to this particular webinar. We are ably led in our discussions by Mansoor Karoub, Associate Principal, Mechanical Engineering Services at UAE-based consultancy firm Khatib and Alami. As a chairperson of this webinar, he will be inviting insights from a panel comprising diverse expertise and experience. We are very pleased to have representatives from the GCC region and from across multiple sectors in the panel. Mirroring the diversity is a gathering of delegates. The last I checked about an hour or so ago, we had received registration to attend from nearly 20 countries. And as I speak, they're all signing in to attend this particular webinar. Before I hand over the virtual microphone to Mansoor, I have two duties to fulfill. The first is to recognize our sponsors and partners for this webinar. We are thankful to our bronze sponsor, Ddc Controllers, our strategic knowledge partner, Khatib and Alami, and to our strategic HVACR recruitment partner, www.careerspay.com. We appreciate the support you have lent to this webinar. My second duty, of course, is to formally introduce Mansoor Karoub, the chair of this webinar. Mansoor is Associate Principal, Mechanical Engineering Services at Khatib and Alami. He has over 23 years of experience in the design consultancy and construction market, with a track record including mixed-use developments, hotels and resorts, residential towers, retail complexes, government buildings, business parks, medical research, and industrial facilities. He spearheads the system engineering, analysis, and concept development of major developments across the region. In short, we are in exceptionally good hands. And with that, it is my pleasure to ask Mansoor to lead the discussions.
Thank you, Surendra. Thanks a lot for this introduction. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Smart HVAC Systems Conference. This is Mansoor Karoub, the chair of the conference. we like just to start with small remarks about the subject that we related to the smart HVAC systems. As you all know that the HVAC systems existed since long time, since more than 150 or 200 years, started at 1800s, and it was only during 1980s when the ASHRAE, they set like the standards for the building designs to have the minimum energy efficiency, which is standard 90.1 and 90.2, and we consider those standards like those that are major milestones in the history who paved the way for the future of the HVAC systems. As also all of us know that we have like evolved in the technology of the HVAC systems and the advanced controls in the different systems where we have more intelligent devices and sensors helped us a lot to reduce the consumption of the air conditioning or the heating system, or to have the ventilation on demand, okay? And definitely that increased the savings in energy, and the same also still in we adapt more and more, and we are also in necessity to adapt as more and have more technology, okay, to achieve the initiatives that also initiated by different authorities. I want to share with you few data here I gathered, for example, and to see exactly the importance of having the smart HVAC systems and smart or intelligent components for the for those systems. For example, the BPIE in 2017, which is the Buildings Performance Institute in Europe, they found that using the automation will reduce the energy consumption by more than 5% in household, and smart technology as well. Also, the same can save 23% of the energy consumption in the offices. We have also the IEA stated that having such also smart technology applied in the buildings will lead to 10% saving of the total energy in residential and commercial buildings by 2040. We have also the American Council for Energy Efficiency Economy. They estimated also high savings by only using the smart thermostats. The Chinese certification program also, they insisted also and were required to have more sensors to be sure about the indoor air quality, especially in the healthcare. We have also here in UAE, we set it by different regulations that now it is also challenging for the designers and operators to achieve them. And that cannot happen or cannot be achieved unless you use the developed and evolved smart HVAC components. Not to take too long here, we want to move to our group of specialist experts who will really enrich the discussions. We will now, you will have on the binary, we have Mr. Mohammed Zakaria. Mohammed Zakaria is the Chief Consultant of Protocoling Division of Suhaimi Design. Zakaria is the specialist in HVAC, utility systems, control systems, and commissioning process. He has wide experience in Saudi Arabia with clients like Saudi Aramco, SABIC, SEC, and Royal Commission. He worked in various projects ranging from district cooling, healthcare facilities, plant support facilities, in-plant buildings, industrial projects, laboratories, universities, offices, and commercial buildings, plus residential facilities. So welcome Muhammad on board with us. On the board also we will meet Mr. Azmi Abul Huda. Azmi is the managing director at eMergy, a privately held corporation specialized in the built environment field with focus on sustainability, energy saving solutions, audits and surveys, building performance, and indoor environmental quality. With more than 20 years experience in built environment field in international and multinational companies. His expertise covers various responsibilities in design, engineering, execution, testing, commissioning, and maintenance. So also, Azmi was part of the senior management for the electrical and mechanical systems works in various prestigious projects across the Middle East. So welcome Mr. Azmi on board with us. We have Ahmed Al-Kiki. Mr. Ahmed Al-Kiki is the director of the technical services in Hvac Hospitality. He is a results-oriented individual with proven record on hospitality technical services and projects, with over 17 projects between openings, renovations, and rebranding on operator. Consultant and owner sides. In his current role, also he oversees the technical performance of the assets and supervised Hvac hospitality holding projects. We're supposed to have also Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia, but unfortunately he doesn't feel well. But we are also lucky to have on his behalf Mrs. Pamela David. Pamela, she's a BMS veteran with over than 25 years experience in the energy and integrated building automation systems in Middle East region. Pamela has an outstanding track record and demonstrates extensively industry knowledge, creativity, and self-motivation to achieve corporate goals, establishing strategic relationships with the dealers, clients, contractors, and consultants with the industry, and developing the appropriate business has been also her forte. Pamela brings with her vast years of experience from her various roles in multinational companies like Siemens, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, and the big names. As the General Manager Client Success of Nitex Global BV, Pamela's focus is on addressing the technology needs of the emerging new model of urban infrastructure, which is particularly well aligned with the post-COVID new normal, vendor-neutral IBMS automation solutions provider. Nitex Global BV has a strong focus on solutions for sustainable smart buildings, smart cities, and energy efficiency, including the integrated control command. So let's welcome also Pamela, and we'll start for the discussions. So, Pamela, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for the nice introduction.
How do you do?
I'm good. Thank you.
So we like to start with you. If you just tell us about, for example, why we need to give serious attention to the maintenance of fully automated control systems as a facility for the facility management teams.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Glad to be in this panel, and glad to be addressing some issues which are important for the rest of the globe as well. So really interested to be here. Regarding the maintenance and the FM, well, if you think about it, COVID has actually changed the way we work, right? The building occupancy has changed radically. And office buildings are now empty and the residential buildings are fully occupied. That means the way the building is applied, the BMS, the set points set, the schedules which have been done would have all changed. So this is applicable for the maintenance and the FM teams. Be aware of it, to realize how to dynamically change the settings, see the occupancy and move the building according to it, or even if equipments are lying unutilized. It is not good for the operation of the equipment as well. So these things we need to be dynamically aware of exactly what is happening with all our assets in our properties, and so that the FM and the maintenance can a preventive or a predictive maintenance accordingly. This is critical.
I understood. So if Sayyid Ahmed Al-Kiki, if you just tell us about your expectations, since we started also talking about the facility management and the importance of that one. So the future of the FM development and using the developing technologies. So,
thank you very much. I couldn't agree more with Pamela, to be honest. We as owners and developers developing hotels, we try, or we do our best in putting the latest technologies in our systems, in our buildings. However, we're very frequently faced with less competent FM team that can actually manage these new technologies. We have a bit of expectations that in future there will be some kind of a merge, because now with IoT, with more IoT systems coming in place, with more IT requirements, there have to be a merge between the knowledge of IT systems and engineering knowledge. The way FM happening now is there is a complete separation between what is called maintenance in terms of MEP and what is IT systems and network administration. This cannot continue forever, because this hampered the owner's interest and the owner's assets. Furthermore, on top of this, there is an issue that we all, I don't know if we all suffered from, but I know we did. If you want to hire in a hotel, if you want to hire a security manager, DPS asks you that the security manager must have a bachelor's degree. There is no requirements for the director of engineering or the chief engineer of any hotel to even have a bachelor's degree, let alone being an engineer, an engineering degree. So I think there is a lot to come in terms of competencies required in an FM team with all the new technologies coming in place. We have brilliant consultants that they manage to design the newest technologies available, but there is no one has on site that operates for 30 years this building, has the knowledge on how to operate them properly.
So this will bring us really, you are right, Ahmed, to the challenge of having or rescaling the FM teams. So we need to bring those to the up-to-date technology, and to know that exactly they are using whatever we gave them. Sometimes you give during the handing over the building, you give the latest technology, you give a lot of aspects in the BMS, but you'll find after that the FM, they just use only those partially. So in this case, like training and reskilling those people are now vital.
100%.
Yeah. So, Sayyid Azmi, what do you think about the same subject of if you like experience some of the unqualified FM before during your experience? Azmi? Maybe Azmi is muted. Mr. Muhammad Zakaria, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Mansoor?
Aywa?
Can you hear me, Mansoor?
Sorry?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Aywa, yes, I hear you well.
Yeah.
Yes, we all hear you. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, there was a disruption in the internet. So what I was saying, our role now is actually to, as industry experts, is actually to restore the occupants' confidence. After this COVID-19 pandemic, it actually uncovered a fatal situation within our buildings where we stay most of our time. So now we need really to restore confidence. We need to ensure that these buildings are being maintained, operated properly to handle this pandemic or any other future pandemics in the future. As we were saying throughout many years previously, even in the conferences which were done previously, also we were emphasizing on the indoor air quality as an optimum target for occupants. So this is now coming back again into the picture in more power, and the challenges to achieve this and the challenges which face the O&M personnel are really huge. It starts from flexibility of the systems. The O&M personnel, even if they are competent or not competent, this is one matter, but whether they are really relying on flexible systems, whether they are really being exposed to systems that can be altered depending on the operating sequences, depending on the building behavior and the changes in the building behavior. How can the existing systems adapt to these changes? So this is very important. We need actually to support the O&M teams with tools to be able to maneuver around the current situation, and in terms of flexibility, in terms of visibility, for example, are they able really to really monitor the building operation closely and to gain data from these operations, and to change the systems being implemented in terms of control sequences and others. So this is some of the challenges that will face any team who is really operating the building now, and that we need really to support these teams.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So, Mr. Muhammad Zakaria, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, okay. So, did you like to add anything over what we have discussed regarding the FM teams?
Yes. Actually, when we talk about the skill set of FM team, I would like to take a step back and go one step earlier. do we have the control systems properly handed over to FM team? That's a question to be asked. There are beautiful designs that was done by designers using all the latest technology and everything. But when it is really been installed physically, physical installation of all the control components are done. I say physical installation, but during the stage of commissioning, is the complete functionality of the control system is properly commissioned and handed over. In most of the cases, physical installation of all the components, controllers, field devices, sensors, everything is installed. Some level of functionality is accomplished, and that is how that is being handed over to FM team without full-blown training in terms of overall system and its operation. And again, there comes the lack of sufficient skill from the FM team. So from bad, it becomes worse. So that's basically the point. So as far as automatic control system is concerned, automatic control system does not automatically become an automatic system. It has to be manually properly set so that we are able to extract the full functionality, and then proper commissioning has to happen so that the full functionality is tested in terms of proper functional performance testing, checking that operation in all different modes of operation, ensuring that the full range of operability functionality is being extracted. It might need some type of testing during different seasons as well. Then proper handover to FM team with appropriate training. On top of that, the other panelists, whatever they said about the skill requirement of FM team has to come into play so that we will be able to get full benefit of all the dollars that is spent on proper control system, whatever cutting edge technology that we are going to put. So this is basically an important message that I would like to add.
Okay, thanks for that. So I have a question here for you, Pamela. What do you think the potential of using or applying, like in the future, using more the AI or machine learning or all the advanced technologies, so as to minimize depending on the human factor in the FM? So what do you can tell us about the future of those things?
Good point. Very good question, actually. See, as you can see, there are property owners here. There are FM companies here who are sharing their thoughts, right? So, yes, designers dream. Mentioned there is no recommissioning done once the building is occupied. The concept of getting the building commissioned after occupancy does not exist here, because these things change, rooms applications change, so there is no recommissioning done at all. 1 year after the handing over, probably the set points and other things settled in the BMS are probably not perfectly tuned for that building. The first thing to be done is manually, if we are planning, a recommissioning have to be done. However, there are softwares now which are continuously commissioning the building, which they are intelligent enough to have algorithms built in. Therefore, it can predict. It will notice that certain space temperature set point is maintained or often changed. On Tuesdays, it is being changed to 22 degrees, and the rest of the days, it is going back to 24. So it will start memorizing it. It will learn from it. So that is machine learning. You do that, and then you have algorithms built in so that this change in set point can be predicted and changed automatically in the system itself. Continuous commissioning is definitely possible. So these things of predictive maintenance or continuous commissioning, how is this possible? Because the system is capable enough to gather this information from the building, look at the past history, see how the building has performed or how it works, and then based on that revisit or relook at what is going to happen in the future, right? So this kind of capable systems are available, which can be incorporated as well. And of course, we can train the FM teams, but knowing our region, People change, companies change, contracts change. So the building owners can be trained, the property owners can be trained. But if not, having a smarter system in your building will make more sense.
I want here just to ask you, Ahmed, do you think that also the capex that we always we put and we spend over having this all systems, is it like really worthy, or we can optimize it, or do we need to invest more in the capex? So what do you like to tell us about this?
I would say in an ideal world, it's worth every penny. In the cycle of a building, in the building cycle, your design costs and your construction costs together are incomparable to the cost of operating the building for 30 years. So whatever you're going to spend on design is going to be 1% of what you're going to spend from over 30 years of the lifetime of the building. Whatever you're going to spend on the structure will be around 30% of what you're going to spend over the 30 years of the life cycle of the building. But you will generate savings that can allow you to reduce such a huge cost, which is the highest cost of a building, is the lifetime of the operating cost. It all comes back to the issue of, are you operating it properly or not?
And I think, Azmi, you support this a lot. You like always to say that you need to have smart buildings, right?
Of course. And I would like to add that smart in terms of the technologies implemented is one thing. And in terms of the understanding the science and physics behind the HVAC is another thing. So it is not only spending money for just the sake of spending money. We need to spend money in the right direction by understanding really the HVAC. So data and receiving data is one issue, but what are these data that we need to receive and how we need to reflect this data in the operation of the buildings is also important. And whether these intelligent components are really supported by another set of components on the HVAC system side. For example, in a typical building, we have for each occupant, let's say on an average, one controllable component in the HVAC system. So how many components do we need to be controlled in a intelligent or smart building? And how we can use these components. So it is actually a holistic approach towards smart, and this is what I need really to emphasize on. The technologies are really being advanced, and the HVAC industry is being also advanced. So we need really to bring both together, and here where we need the expertise and efforts and studies really to make sure that they are. There is harmony within these systems.
Fine. Okay. So, Pamela, what do you like also promise us in the future in the evolving or for the smart HVAC system to do in situations like what we are living now and suffering for COVID? So what measures do you expect that to be taken in the BMS systems and controls?
The general underlying thought is the controllers, the integrations, which is the HVAC controls, the intelligence of it, needs to be fast, responsive, error-free, resilient, quick. Okay, we know this. But now the need seems to be moving towards information sharing, isn't it? The connectivity part of it, where we seem to want information fast and respond to it. We need systems which can access this data maybe from HVAC or from other systems, and come up with logics and algorithms which will effectively bring about a solution for mankind. So we need systems which can communicate over multi-protocols. We need a system which can integrate properly all of this data dynamically, do the data crunching, and give it visually to people who can take calculated decisions, either to bring down their OPEX or definitely certain decisions are inbuilt. Certain decisions we know when there is no occupancy, change the set point. We know that. So certain algorithms can be built inside a system, but there will be certain other things like now, maybe there is too many people congregated in a region where in a COVID situation, it's not a good idea. So this information maybe needs to go to the municipality or the city people. So they know that more fresh air needs to go to certain buildings, or maybe that needs to be warned that those region people need to be told not to congregate. Maybe they can be separated. So all this will come only when information is shared. And for that, multiple protocol information gathered together. Probably now the data is so huge, it's no more just enterprise level or a computer level. Now we are talking cloud level, right? Because you need, you have more data. So now we are talking about data at the computer level and communicating fast to various people with the right information. We need systems like that, which will solve the problems, right? Which will make sure humans can solve the problem.
Thank you. Yeah. Zakaria, I want to ask some hypothetical question.
Yeah.
If you like now, if you will go back for a building that you have designed some time back and you need to do changes, okay, like also in the core of the BMS or the building monitoring and controlling. So what will you do exactly?
Can you say that again, please? Sorry?
Zakaria?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you get my question?
Yeah, I got your question.
Yes.
Actually, before I answer, when we talk about smart buildings with the smart technology, the maximum benefit can be extracted when there is a convergence between smart technology and smart people, smart trained people. If that convergence is missing, the intelligence in the technology. So this is basically the point. Yeah. But as far as your question is concerned, when I go back to any building where, let's say, a full-blown BMS was designed some time back, and many times we are not involved in handover. When we go back and inspect those buildings, we have found time and again that very minimal capability of the full-blown system is being utilized, and a lot of the features are bypassed, and quite a lot of semi-manual operation is being executed. So probably they would have been better off by installing a lesser technology. If they had extracted full benefit, that would have been more cost effective for them, rather than spending so much of cost for sometimes high functionality or a high built-in intelligent systems, the full-blown BMS and all these things, and not extracting the benefit of those kind of systems that is installed. So my own personal philosophy is that if you invest dollars in terms of control system, you have to ensure that you are extracting the full benefit of the intelligence of the control system. If you don't intend to do it, don't invest that much money into intelligent systems, because they are being rendered useless. This is basically the general idea that I would like to share.
Sure. Maybe Ahmed El-Kiki also like to tell us, since now you are also operating or following many of the hospitality facilities, So what do you also think or suggest to do more? Where we need to develop more in the BM as well? You find still we have like room or margin to do more and to invest there.
Okay, so we honestly we don't operate any. We just own the hotels, but we supervise the operations. We literally like. I'll give you and this is I'm echoing here what Mohammed Zakaria was talking about. We installed in one of our hotels a state-of-the-art guest room energy management system. The latest technology, and I think it's one of a kind in UAE. There is no other place that you can see that has this intricacies of technologies. We offered the hotel, and this was done in an operating hotel. So the FM team is there from beginning to end. FM team was not out of that project. We did a mock-up that we left with the FM team to operate for 5 months before we did the rollout. What happened after? They have no clue how to operate it. The issue here, and I would echo what Mohammed Zakaria is saying, is the same is applicable on the construction labors. So the HVAC technician who is doing who is installing the HVAC equipment, or the electrician who is installing the electrical equipment, there is no such regulation or a certification. If you go to any country in the world, you cannot practice being an electrician without a particular certificate that you can actually do electrical works. This doesn't exist here. And it's same applicable for FM teams and for construction teams.
So again, we are here back to the facility management. We are lack of the skilled people in most of the facility management. So we cannot benefit from what we even invest or we spend the capex there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the main topic now for our discussion. Azmi, okay, just to diverse the discussions, if we want just to ask you about how we can design or upgrade the HVAC systems to respond more or quicker to the comfort of people. So what do you tell us about this?
I would suggest when designing a system to keep in mind one important thing, that we need to deal with the occupants as individuals, not as a bulk. So each occupant has his or her unique requirements that we need to make sure that these systems are able really to deliver. Whenever we need to design or upgrade the system, keeping this in mind, then we will know how far we have to go, and we will go really very far in this. As I said before, there are, for example, in a typical building, you can say that there is one component for each occupant in the HVAC system, plus another component in the BMS system. So to achieve more complicated systems to really cater for each individual or each occupant needs, then maybe you need to multiply these components by 4 or 5. And with this, you can imagine the cost behind it. But this is really a requirement now and our we have actually a responsibility as HVAC. I'm talking about the HVAC experts in this field. They have really a responsibility to deliver this and achieve this. There are always challenges, technicians and the skills among technicians and all of this, but these are one of the challenges that we can overcome, I think, and by proper commissioning of the building. Part of the commissioning is training and handing over. And if this is really done, and if this is really followed, and this is already there in almost all the requirements and contracts in construction, to have a proper training, proper handing over, proper set of systems manual, and all of this. So we need really to follow what is there. We need to try our best to achieve this, and to make sure and keep in mind, as I said, that each individual is unique. And we really need to understand these needs and make sure that the components within this within the systems are really catering for the needs of each occupant.
So, like I can understand here, or also what our discussions is going around fixing things that we already have it, but it needs fixation. It is part of this is related to reskilling of the facility management, and the other one of the commissioning and recommissioning of the building or the systems in the building. And so far, I want just to hear like what we are looking for, like in the future. What we need, what do we need really to have more? What do we expect from the technology to do to help us more? As I see, maybe during COVID, the facility of monitoring and having data remotely, or controlling the different systems remotely, okay, which was some before, it's a luxury to have this one, but we found that it is becomes a necessity, and it helped us a lot and allowed the people or the facility management to maybe control and monitor their buildings remotely. So again, just want to see, Pamela, you have here more pressure on you for getting like rid of the things or the issues that we are facing right now, and to bring more for us in the future.
Pleasure to talk about it. Yeah. So yes, as I think I touched on that subject as well. So apart from the control capability of a good smart BMS, because of COVID, we need to be far away. We can't send technicians all over the place. People don't want to allow them inside the rooms or the buildings. So we have this very serious necessity of looking at the function of a building from remote. Looking at the building is critical because, as Ahmed said, OPEX is very, very expensive. If not looking at it, not maintaining is going to be disastrous for property owners, right? So you need to be having this information in a remote place. So now CPIP was existent, but of course the world is moving to cloud. Everything is IoT. You want information on IoT so that maybe property owners across the region, they want to have information of all their properties at one point is possible. The data crunching is possible using smart platforms, and information to be shared either to a technician or a tenant or to an engineer or to a CFO is visually possible with the right kind of reports and maybe work order. You know, it can extend from a report to a work order. This is definitely possible in this world now because of remote connectivity. But I just wanted to highlight, so when you bringing this information remote, you still need human intelligence to be looking at your building regularly. A machine cannot do everything. So you need that visually energy engineers or operators who are looking at your building constantly. So there are possibilities of having, because information is far away, you can bring it to a control command center maybe. You can have a team of engineers looking at it and giving the information, knowledgeable information back to the property owners or the operators, yeah, the FM team. This is very much a possibility, very much a happening right now. This can only become better as days go by. It's just the awareness which people need to know that this technology is available.
Yeah. Okay.
Mansoor, hi, Surendra here. Just wondering if you could answer some of the questions coming in from the audience. We have a set of good questions from the audience. Maybe
Yes.
I just ask, this is coming from George Karas, and he says, please advise on how to manage the issue of finalizing the commissioning, especially of the control systems, BMS, BAS, PLC, SCADA, for a facility. What are the nature of the facility may be, especially when the facility owner, the client, is looking at the control system as a luxury and as something that could be managed with the personnel at the client side, and is only communicating through phones without a proper control system being implemented. And George goes on to say that I believe the issue pointed out by Ahmed El-Kiki, where a skilled FM and also where majority of the engineers understand the importance of smart HVAC, BMS, BAS is key. And he wants to know how the whole situation can be resolved where the client perhaps needs to take automation and the incorporation of IT solutions more seriously.
So for the first part, maybe Zakaria can you please?
Zakaria and also Pamela maybe, and then El-Kiki, Ahmad El-Kiki. Good.
All right. As far as commissioning of a control system is concerned, there is a commissioning protocol or a guideline called Guideline 0. It is very easy to remember this guideline. This is called Guideline 0 in ASHRAE. So that Guideline 0, why it is 0? I think it is because of all the procedures that is stipulated there are common sensical. So as it is common sense, it is called 0, I think. This is my personal take on it. So in Guideline 0, as far as control system is concerned, in most of the projects, physical installation of control components, sensors, field devices, controllers, the connectivity between them, the loop testing and other testings and stuff like that is usually done. I don't see any problem with any control contractor, even they are top-notch control contractor or to an average control contractor. This portion is done. Physical infrastructure is done. What is usually lacking is ensuring that proper sequence of operation based on understanding of the process. The process understanding is with the mechanical engineers usually. The controls people who come for programming, they don't have the understanding of the process. So hence, whatever they understood, they try to program, and eventually there is no system of functional performance testing. That means different modes of operation has to be properly put up in a matrix to test every single system, every single subsystem, and almost every single component. Sometimes you need to test the facility during peak load situation to ensure that how the facility is operating. So if this is properly stipulated and proper commitment from owner, this is very important. If owner does not have proper commitment to ensure that all the dollars he spent, he is extracting the benefit, if that commitment is lacking, then proper commissioning will not be possible. So with that commitment, with following this procedure, Guideline 0, ensuring functional performance testing of the facility, what I call is for a control system, you should not deliver a control system, you have to deliver the functionality of the control system. So this is basically, in short, there's a lot to discuss, but this is in short what I have to say for the first portion of that question.
Okay. Ahmed, do you like to also reply about the facility management part, the question?
Sure. The issue here is a bit of it's a compound question, and I would, let's put it this way. The issue that I'm pointing out, if we talk about smart HVAC system, and I'm gonna go a bit even less than this, and this I'm talking from actual experiences with director of engineers of engineering of big operators, 5 stars operators. for example, we had an issue of a plate of lack of chilled water flow into an area. So we had to add a secondary network and add a plate heat exchanger. The director of engineering of the property came to me and asking me, how are they cooling? There is no chiller in there, knowing that the project name is plate heat exchanger. So we're talking about intricacies of IoT, and like IoT is after BMS and then BMS, and we're talking about basics of HVAC that are not there. The same director of engineering was challenging my consultant that the fresh air location is wrong. It must be behind the FCU. It cannot be in the room from a grill. And this is the reason why in a lot of cases, we as owners, we try to keep the FM team out of this because they just delay. Because they just delay everything that we're doing because of the lack of understanding of what exactly should be happening, and of the engineering systems. They just delay completion of projects. Now, the major issue here and this is the part that we are to be blamed on, is the fast track commissioning. Because this is our problem. We are to be blamed. And this is because, let's put it this way, money is king. So the operator opts to hire, let's say, underskilled employees to save money, so he can generate the GOP to the owner, so he can get his fees, and the owner has financial assets and financial liabilities that he needs to attend to based on a completion date. And then while going through this and everything that happens in between, and all the projects get delayed and so on, it comes to the end where the commissioning of the MEP system is commonly overlooked. Yeah. Commonly overlooked.
Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks for the reply. Yeah, Surander.
Could I just jump in, please? Because it's interesting that Ahmed said that FM, they tend to delay the process because there's a question that's come from Munir Jode, and he says, why are the FM manager and the FM teams engaged only at the last minute on the projects in closing and handing over, rather than at least be engaged in the mid-level of the execution? The short handing over period is a key element where FM teams always struggle later. So what could be the better solution? Perhaps, is there a scope for a middle ground in this, Ahmed?
We can only talk about our company. We are heavily involved with our team, with our operators, and we involve them in every decision that we take. The issue is sometimes it's better not to be honest. And this is a case-by-case basis and system by system, because you cannot expect that everyone understands everything. I don't understand everything. There is no one that understands everything. However, depending on the project, depending on the individual, depending on what's happening and how fast is it needed to be done, what is the financial impact on the owner of getting it done, sometimes we opt to actually, sometimes we hand over the projects to the operators to run with, so they actually perform the projects on our behalf, and we just supervise what's happening. And sometimes it's better to be with us, with their involvement, with it. So it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay, so thanks, Ahmed. Surander, any other thing you want to add? Or I'd like here just to cover one thing about cybersecurity before we finish the first part of this discussion.
Sure, we can wait, Mansoor, because yes, we have a lot of questions. We have about 12 questions that's come in, but we can always ask them during the structured Q&A session.
Yeah, okay. So, Pamela, can you tell us about the cybersecurity Okay, so exactly what do you like recommend for this part to be considered? So far, I don't know to what level we take care about this part in the HVAC systems.
See, when we have technology or electronics which are going to be on open systems, that means there is a lot of openness built into it, which is why cybersecurity becomes an issue, because we are on internet, we are on TCP/IP, we are on the cloud. So all this depends on the network provider a lot, where encryption is built in. The controllers themselves, because they are TCP/IP, we need to cross-check before we get them onto the building whether they have all the correct encryption built in, yeah, the right multiple passwords, the TLS standards, all of them, SSL standards. They all have to be. We have to be. The buyer needs to make sure this is built in before procuring a system, because different manufacturers have various levels of it. They are trying to update and keep themselves up to the latest hacker, I think. So they are all the time busy working on it. So whether it is the cloud, whether it is a TCP/IP layer, or even a DDC which is built on that, it needs to be well protected.
Mm-hmm.
This is very, very critical, very, very critical. It can be hacked, so it is important.
Ahmed, have you like faced anything related to the cybersecurity before any case, like it made really damage to the operations?
Luckily, not yet.
Uh-huh.
We one of our operators had a major cyber attack. I think a year and a half ago, but they managed to overcome it. But it was on global level. It was not on our hotel's level.
Okay. Surinder, do you like to have your our last question or two questions more?
I think we shall wait till the structured audience Q&A, so we can go now to Frederick to give the sponsor recognition ceremony address.
Thank you, Surinder, and welcome again to you all to this webinar, which I hope will be very informative and useful to all of you attending from all over the globe. So thank you for your attendance today. First and foremost, I would like obviously to thank our partners and sponsor today. First and foremost, we have Ddc Controllers as our bronze sponsor. Thank you very much for your support. And we have also on board our strategic knowledge partner, Hvac and Alami. Thank you very much for your contribution, as well as our strategic HVACR recruitment partner, carriersbay.com. But for now, I would also like to share a few words with you about Climate Control Middle East and its digital platforms, i.e. climatecontrolme.com, which is mainly news-driven and is our primary website, as well as our newest addition in our portfolio, the global website that we now have on climatecontroljournal.com, which is divided into geographical areas in terms of news. Okay, and we obviously, I don't know if you're aware, but celebrating as well this year our 15th anniversary. And we are justifiably proud of the milestone in an era when, in our case, despite the digital surge we are experiencing, the vast majority of our readers still prefers the printed format, as our latest readership survey proves. We are obviously stronger than ever digitally, however, as well, and our two websites plus our e-magazine enjoy a very strong readership base. A key reason for their popularity and relevance is our steadfast focus on carefully edited content and our adherence to objectivity and ethical media practices. As you can see here on the screen, a few examples of articles, excellent articles we have published. So we obviously urge and encourage you to visit the magazine website. For your convenience, we have provided the links in the Q&A section of this Zoom platform today. On its 15th anniversary, we really do want you to experience the magazine and its web platforms. And that's obviously not forgetting our very popular directories, also available in print and digital formats, with the new edition of Climate Control Guide and Directory coming up in November, and with the Refrigeration Buyer's Guide also coinciding with the Gulf Food Manufacturing Exhibition, still scheduled to happen from the 3rd to 5th of November this year at the Dubai World Trade Center. Now, on our upcoming webinars, you are more than welcome to join us this coming Thursday at 9:30 to 12:30 UAE time for our second edition on webinar on disinfection, called this time Disinfections 360. So having a look, comprehensive look at all the disinfection solutions available in the market, which will be followed by Heart of the Matter, a webinar on pumping systems happening on the 10th of August at 3 p.m. UAE time until 6 p.m. which will be followed by a global webinar of utmost interest these days, focused on the cold storage and safe transportation of vaccine. It's entitled Vaccine Virtual, and we'll have the attendance of Dr. Toby Peters, a very prominent speaker in the Global Alliance on Vaccines and lecturer in the UK as well. We hopefully shall resume our physical events in September with our fourth edition of the Client Consultant Contractor Conference, co-located with IT and HVAC, so very much close to our subject today as well, with a physical event hopefully happening in a hotel on the 15th of September, sponsored so far by Mecca and Samsung Royal Gulf. So we do look forward to seeing you in person, hopefully there. As you may have seen in the news, the first ever physical conference happened a few days ago at the Trade Center, and it was obviously a big event focusing on the latest safe practices for physical events. And first and foremost, we do look forward to seeing you in person again, hopefully on the 24th of November for a landmark event, where we shall be celebrating our 10th anniversary of the annual Climate Control Awards 2020. The new categories will be up on our website, so please have a regular look, and we do look forward to welcoming you there. So thank you very much to our sponsors and partners today, and for chairing this event, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Surendra.
Thank you, Frederick. And now we will move to Pamela and Venkat, so as to do some one of the important technical presentations. So Pamela, are you ready?
You can see my screen? Not yet.
It was there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we can see it now, Pamela. Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for the time to share something which is of great interest to me personally. Glad to share with ideas with people who are like-minded. And Frederick, congratulations on the 15th anniversary to you and your team. Let me start. I would like to share some slides on what we do in bringing smart technology into the HVAC business. So I think we touched on all the subjects. So we know there are issues. Either it could be because of global warming, which was very critical some time back, till COVID, which is right now, which is happening. And this definitely brings an impact to us very personally. Even global warming, I think, could have been discussed as something futuristic for the next generation. But COVID has brought everything fast forward. It has brought us in our face right now, do something. It's brought us to a level of making it extremely personal, changing our lifestyles, the way we behave, the way we work, the way we play, everything has changed, right? This has made it a requirement for this to change, this has to happen. So if it affects people, definitely it affects the place where we live and work. So buildings, it affects as well. So as we spoke of how buildings, the nature of what it was meant for has changed dramatically. The application of a building. So there are malls which are scarcely visited. There are movie theaters never occupied. There are hotels with very, very low occupancy. So these things are changing the way a building performs, or it has to perform. So only then we can manage, either it is energy consumption or the health of the occupant can be managed only if we have access to all this information, right? We touched on this with the interesting panel discussions we had. So we also spoke from various angles of whether it's an FM company or a property owner or a designer. We all plan for a smart BMS. So a BMS which is comprising of sensors, intelligent controllers, and a software which collects the right data on a HVAC and brings it in front of a computer screen is something we are aware of. What is not clear is maybe not the correct commissioning, correct set point, correct amount of fresh air, which I think Mr. Zakaria spoke of, which Mr. Ahmed spoke of, right? These things which we need to continuously monitor is not happening. Maybe after 4 months after hurriedly commissioning and handing over to somebody and the project is taken over, the building changes its space. So whether it is COVID or even if it's not COVID, let me give you a small, very tiny example, but it makes a big impact. Let us say there is a temperature sensor in the room, which is supposed to monitor, and set point can be adjusted, and the corresponding FCU will function accordingly. Everything is commissioned. Of course, it's communicating. Of course, somebody can turn the knob and the set point changes and the FCU corresponds to it. However, what if a big photocopier machine is kept right below the thermostat? There it goes. The reading is always going to be showing warm. The FCU is going to always run. It's always going to consume chilled water from the chiller. So can you see that? So this kind of commissioning knowledge based on the application, based on the exact physical property of a space needs to be done. And that's becoming more and more and more critical nowadays. So there are 2 points which I want to highlight, also based on the conversations we had. One, collecting this information together, doing proper commissioning on it, right? Over time, things change, and that the commissioning part also needs to be amended, right? That part is one critical element. And the other critical element is remote connectivity and still doing the same activity on your existing BMS. So I'm going to highlight these two topics and let's see how it goes, okay? So smart HVAC controls will include sensors and thermostats and metering if required. And from the BIS supplier, we have the intelligence built inside. The DDCs, the integrators, and if required, a big server or a cloud where all the data is stored. And why we do all this? Achieve improved energy efficiency, preventive maintenance, better air quality, the health and safety of the occupant inside, and an energy efficient property. So this is a must. Now, we of course offer you DDC controllers, which are TCP IP and MQTT enabled. Now let me just touch on the topic of connectivity, especially remote connectivity. So we have DDC controllers, which is the heart of a BAS, which are MQTT enabled along with BACnet and Modbus protocols. This can communicate directly to the cloud. So now think of properties which are far flung, maybe cannot be manned, but you want to access that data properly. So this is now feasible. Energy management systems or any other system in a building needs to be integrated and brought as well. No more is it sufficient to just have HVAC information available, which of course contributes to the maximum amount of energy consumption, fine. But now we are not talking only energy efficiency, we are talking about health and safety too. So we need information of other systems as well, more and more important as we spoke. So CO2 is important, fresh air is important, occupancy, how many people are in a certain amount of space is important. So yeah, there are systems in right now where it talks about a COVID patient, and if their movement needs to be restricted, we could link it with the security system and actually track them. We could Geo Map them. So there are systems now which needs to be integrated, and again, to a remote place. It can't be done at the building in each and every building. So this possibility of integrating multi-vendor, multi-protocol, any system, bringing it on to one big platform, doing the data crunching there and making it visible to everybody is our core job. Okay, so just wanted to highlight also that we have the gateways required. So when we talk about connectivity, multiple protocols which need to be translated and brought to a common platform is a big challenge for a property owner. Property owner probably has existing legacy systems, 10-year-old systems, maybe some kind of not open protocol system. So this is possible with the property owner. A client can have that. But now when they want to access data, you need people who can access different protocol, different vendors, different systems, bring the information together and give the data as and how the client wants it. This is required. So you need intelligent gateways which are which can bring in this data, or even gateways or coding if required to bring in technologies which can't give us gateways. We can code data and bring. So we have done that for example, there was a central battery system which had its own BACnet gateway, which but if the client wants more information about that system and they don't have it, we can actually code it and give it to them. We can actually write a code which brings the data and provide it to the client. So you need somehow this technology which can bring all this data together and provide it to you. So we know of simple buildings with standalone multiple systems. It is possible nowadays to integrate this information, bring everything to one common platform. However, you also need the intelligence of an operator to understand what to do with this information, right? So we heard people having that issues that even though information might be available, it is not intelligent information, right? It is just data. It's just in noise probably for them. So we need that. So the idea is to bring everything together and probably have somebody manage this data for you. Probably have a system which can itself self-analyze because of algorithms built in and machine learning built in, artificial intelligence built in. It can do its necessary methods if required and come up with a knowledgeable output. Okay, so we can aid you in having a on-premises control command center, which could be just the BMS or it could be multiple systems. We can aid in training, helping them with energy planning, or if this is too big an exercise, we also offer services where remotely we can manage buildings for a property owner. Okay, so both of this is possible. So we have done, for example, for Etislab Digital, we did integrating of data across 77 buildings, or we have done a project where we brought in data for a certain client over the RF network so that they are able to view all their data on a live platform using our system. Or there are banks whom we are working with. We are working with malls who want this energy efficiency to be managed for them. So we help these clients either in integrating data or in integrating and bringing it onto a single platform. And we are also working with the MAC and other property owners where we are going to manage their buildings remotely for them. So these services are available and we are working on them. I've just put some screenshots of our system just quickly to talk about it. Hopefully I don't run out of time. So geo mapping and dashboarding is available. I have taken just the energy analysis part to show you some more snapshots. So dashboards done. If it is talking about energy analysis, so benchmarking, year on year, month on month, hotel on hotel. So if somebody has a property which is 200 room property at a particular latitude, longitude, and you want to compare the energy efficiency with another one of your property, or even if it can be an asset. So a certain company of air handling unit you've procured and you want to compare the efficiency of it, the spare parts or the service, or how fast they help you out, or the OPEX cost. So we can do all of these analysis is possible. MNV possible, so metering, comparing data, reporting of data, benchmarking of data done. Fault detection and diagnostics, up to, so it could go down to what we spoke of granular level. So it could be this building, this chiller feeding this particular FHU, this particular room's FCU, and there is a machine trip. So even that amount can be diagnosed and tracked down using the platform. So what you will notice is the platform aids in dependency of the human being as much as possible. So whatever logics are like what we said as common sense or regular logic will be learned using the machine learning, and it will perform accordingly. However, of course, we need the human intelligence on the top, and that is where we come in, and or we can give you the data which can enable a CFO or a CEO to do what we have to do. Now, this is digitization of a building or a community or a area is coming. It is going to happen. This is for sure. Bringing in all the information of a building, of an asset or a property, or even systems as in your HR and your workforce, not just normal physical assets. Bringing all this information together is going to happen, is happening. This cannot be avoided because the advantages are numerous. Because when you have so much of data, so they say data is the new oil, right? So when you have data, valuable data, you can plan either your multiple properties or your smart FM provided to a company, or it is a municipality planning how well it has to effectively design its living area. All of this require past data and live data. For this sake, digitization is going to definitely happen. And the platform which we have can take the normal BMS to this level, as well as integrate any IoT system, any cloud data. We are able to integrate and bring the information out. So there is a level of data acquisition. That means you have a lot of integrators and gateways lying across, bringing in all this information. Data analytics is done in the platform with the right security, and the information is provided to the customer. Okay.
I'm sorry,
So,
Pamela, sorry
yes?
to interrupt, but you have a minute left.
Yes, thank you. I will finish by that. So we have the integration part where we collect all the data, the analytics part, which is done either by our own service or the platform does it for the customer, and visualizing it either by an app or the right kind of reporting to the right kind of person. So very quickly, the information going to the tenant is different from the information going in a work order to a technician, to what the CFO wants to see. So we can provide, the platform provides all this different data. So this technology is available. We have companies and property owners around. You need somebody to bring this technology knowledgeably applicable for that client and that project properly, and we provide that. So we are a company which is Netherlands based, growing across the globe, from US to Singapore at the moment. We have an Australia office coming through, and we work with local partners who are like-minded with the right technology offering, and we work with everybody. Thank you. I finished on time. Any questions, please?
Yes, we have a lot of questions. I'm going to be reading them out now. Questions that were posted earlier and also now. And I'm going to be reading them out now one by one. And then Mansoor would be directing them to each of you as he sees fit. Let me start off from the top, which is the best way to start, I suppose. We have, as I said, interesting questions. The first one, it's the person who's asked this question has chosen to be anonymous. The question is, most consultants are relying on BMS providers and integrators to provide sequence of operations as well as basis of design for the system, which is affecting the system's performance. This is one of the biggest challenges during handing over process. So how can we address this issue starting from the design stage?
Yeah, so what do you think, Azmi? What do you tell us about this?
Thank you. This is actually a very, very important question, and I was going to touch on it actually in reply to another question. We need to make sure, first of all, that there is a control engineer who is really responsible for programming the system, and and there is an HVAC engineer who is responsible for preparing the sequence of operation. We cannot ask, or we cannot really rely on the control engineer to design the sequence of operations for the HVAC systems. So HVAC systems should be designed by the HVAC engineer, and the programming part of that sequence operation should be done in terms of coding, in terms of sensors and the components of the BMS system. This should be handled by the control engineer. So in many cases, we go to the existing facilities, for example, and we ask certain questions like, where is the particular sensor, where is the pressure sensor responsible for the VFD, variable frequency drive pumps, and the facility engineer, who is an HVAC engineer, will reply, okay, let's ask the control guy about it. Yeah, the control should be aware, but actually it is a responsibility of the HVAC engineer to understand where it is, how it is being operated, what is the set point, what is the sequence of operation. And when it comes to the design, it is a responsibility of the HVAC designer to put all of these. We cannot put on the shoulder of the control engineer a burden which he is not really responsible for. So yeah, this is very important point actually that I would like to highlight.
That's true, Azmi. Yeah.
The next question is coming from Muhammad Khalifa, and he says, automizing and energy efficient projects for operating buildings has a very high capital cost at first, with all the additional instrumentation and all based on theoretical studies. How much are these reliable, and what is a good payback time?
I think Zakaria, what do you think about this question? Yeah, Zakaria. Okay, maybe he's muted. Ahmed, I think also you experienced this, and we touched base about this subject during the first part of the discussions. What do you like also maybe to add here or to reply?
I wouldn't call it very high cost, capital cost. It's a cost added to the original that should be considered as part of the budget of the project. However, measuring the total capital cost compared to the running cost, it can be ignored. And the normal, and I will talk here about UAE. So in UAE, if you provide any energy project with a return on investment of over 3 years, it's normally overlooked. While ideally, you should be looking for anything that can give you a return on investment within 7 years. And this would be a long-lasting system that would save you a lot of money. However, it's a common practice here, and then it goes back again to money is a king. If it's more than 3 years, it's normally overlooked by everyone.
Yeah, true.
Next question, this is coming from Rami Ghanem, and he says that time allocated for commissioning phase is always squeezed during construction and affecting the handing over process. In addition, no one is going through the commissioning process during the occupancy phase. What solutions can be proposed by the panelists?
Yes, also here, if Zakaria with us can reply on this one. Maybe Zakaria is on left. So Azmi, I think this also we discussed the same subject before. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, actually Zakaria highlighted the guideline 0 from ASHRAE, and in this guideline it gives a solution for the question, which is an important thing. Commissioning should start from the pre-design phase, from the concept stage of the project. So from the early beginning of the project, this is when commissioning should start. We need really to differentiate between commissioning of a project and testing and balancing, for example, which happens, and start up of equipment testing and balancing, which happens at the end of the project phase. So commissioning, as per ASHRAE standard and many other standards, should start from the beginning, and it should have the operational team, if possible, on board. The operational team should be part of the commissioning team. Plus, of course, the designer, contractor, owner. So all of these people, I mean, should form the commissioning team from the beginning of a project. Of course, some of them might not be really appointed at the beginning, but whenever they are, and it is advisable always that they are appointed in the beginning. So whenever they are appointed, they have to be included in the commissioning team. And each member of this team should be doing certain duties as per the industry practice. And this is one of Istidama requirements as well, and lead requirements for commissioning is to have the process starting from the beginning, and it is an obligatory criteria, by the way, in Istidama.
Can I add on this?
And the same is again required here in Dubai, in the sustainability authorities, to have this, to have the commissioning agency on board as even from the start of the project during the design stage as well. Yes, Surander, the next.
Yes, this is coming from Gida Kadach, and the question is, how can artificial intelligence be utilized with smart HVAC systems to guarantee proper operation? And what type of disruption will artificial intelligence bring to the UAE market in terms of the HVAC industry?
So Pamela, can you elaborate on this? Can you reply, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so a couple of things, like, so you wanted to know about the AI and the disruptive technology, yeah? So, okay, so AI is where the machine learning part comes in, where you know, this continuous commissioning we're all talking about. So it doesn't end at one point, you know, it is not that handing over time, a group of ex-BMS engineers hand over and go. The building is a very dynamic creature. It needs constant care and constant commissioning. So that part of it is where people are struggling, whether it is an FM company, whether it is a property owner. There's no control, there's kind of no guideline on how to do it. That's where the struggle is. Whereas the property owner is continuously spending money on it. So that's where the pain is. So the AI part of a smart system is capable of looking at the historical method in which the building is operated, looks at if it's an integrated, well-managed building, it will have information from occupancy, it will have information from how much fresh air is being fed, what is the temperature set point set there, and it can do this commissioning automatically. It will do what we call as the continuous commissioning, is performed on the controllers and in the building on a regular basis. So that part of this work is called the artificial intelligence part, where without human intervention, it is smart enough to gather data and perform on algorithms and do the give the output, correct output. This is where the AI comes. Disruptive technology is when all the people in the supply chain, from the client, the consultant, the contractor, operator, or the maintenance people, new technology which is happening, and they update themselves in their from their design, the method they work, everything will change. That's why it's called a disruptive technology, and it will happen. As we spoke in the panel today, an FM team will probably need to be very aware of energy methodology and how the building should be done. That's when they can wisely take the handing over. They know what they're doing and they can take. It's not just connectivity of cables. It doesn't end there. There's a lot more happening in the commissioning part, as Mr. Zakaria also mentioned. So that I think that's AI, and that is the disruptive technology which would change the whole chain of people working in the whole chain. Was that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela. I have one more question. Again, this is by someone who wishes to remain anonymous. The question is, lack of skills in handling smart systems restrict us in taking the full benefit of the smart system. So what is the certification or training that is available in the UAE to upgrade the skills to handle smart systems?
Ahmed, I think you suffered from this. Okay, can you tell us?
I did. Unfortunately, there is no such certificate. What I was hoping for is from dealing a lot with hotels and hotel operators, I can tell you that they excel in complying with authorities' requirements and nothing else. So whatever is an authority requirement, it will always be done. But if it's not an authority requirement, they would rather save the money. So if there is an authority requirement to have to be a practitioner in electrical works, to be a practitioner in HVAC work, to be a practitioner in plumbing works, at least this would be a start, and then we can go to the next step of a smart system.
I suppose the same question can be asked of Zakaria to give us a Saudi perspective. Would you have a certification or training that's available to upgrade the skills to handle smart systems?
Unfortunately, there is no certification available in Saudi as well. The only fix that can facilitate at this point of time is focus on more training, particularly training during the time of handover to ensure that proper understanding. I would say training means it is a full-blown system-based training, so that that training is supervised by some kind of a third-party commissioning agent, so that some level of sense can be brought into the chaos that happens. So this is only so far so much that we can do. One more thing is, as I said, if there is full commitment from the owner side, which many times lacks due to project schedule, rush handover, and stuff like that. If there is full commitment from client side insisting on performance, then some level of improved performance can be accomplished.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Maybe this is sort of linked to what's just been asked. This is coming from Viam Al-Ashkar. And he says, what we need is expert consultants for BMS, where in many cases, a BMS consultant is an HVAC industry engineer, but is not expert in BMS. We need BMS specs, which are specific per application, where most of the cases, you may find the same specs for an airport project used for a hospital or even a showroom. So you may pay a lot for things which are not needed for the application, while not taking into consideration other important factors which are needed for that specific application. I think it's a very good question.
Yes, that's true. And this is always happening. And we know that in the market, many projects faces that there are standard specifications, and they use it for the different types of the projects, and it's not tailored to the project to the project function as well. Possibly here also Azmi can tell us about this. Did add Azmi something?
Yes, I think that's true. Specialization is really important, and we need really to draw the line. There is a huge interaction between the HVAC system and the BMS system. So we need really to to be able to, as I said before, to give the control matters, to assign it to a BMS or controls, let's call it controls engineer, who is an expert in controls, while the HVAC related matters to be really done by the, so there is a huge, let's say, interaction and between these two things, and we need to be able to draw a line between them. But I agree that an HVAC engineer is not really the optimum guy to talk about the controls and the specifications of the controls and how devices will communicate between each other. So this is and the system structure, for example. So all of these matters, the BMS system, I mean, the BMS system structure and architecture. So all of these matters should be handled by a controls engineer, no doubt. And other matters related to the operation of the HVAC system and the sequence of operation and the set points, locations of devices. For example, Pamela mentioned about the location of the thermostat and how it affects the performance of the AC. So we cannot really get, the location cannot be really decided by a controls engineer. It should be decided by the HVAC engineer to locate the thermostat in a proper place to get the benefit out of it. So there is a line that should be drawn, and building management, for example, HVAC management is something that we need really to have an HVAC engineer input for. So this is really very complicated and easy at the same time, but we need to understand how to differentiate between them.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to add to this point, please. I believe this is an excellent question, and if you would like to connect everything together, and I would sound now like a broken record, but money is a king. So what's happening there is you have in the consultants, and we are to be blamed in this. The consultant would like to be competitive. So for them to be competitive, they have the basics. They don't have the specialists. So what is issued from the design package is the sequence of operation, not the control methodology. And then this goes to the contractor, and the contractor need to appoint a specialist who will design this in details and then offer to the consultant. The issue here is the consultant mostly don't have someone with the expertise of a control engineer who understands, will this work or not? And this you will see right away in the commissioning phase. Because part of not having a commissioning phase is not only that we need to finish quickly. There is only the consultant is there. Let's see how it will turn out at the end of the project, because you test and commission the BMS system at the end. It's the last part to be tested in the building. So you come to the point where if you find something wrong, there is so much that can be done, because otherwise you will damage a lot of the finished works of the project.
Thank you so much for that, Ahmed. And I have a question now from Anu Sivaprasad, and she's asking, how do clients and consultants specify the latest technologies in the HVAC market? They need to keep updating themselves of the current trends in the market and the performance analyzed from previous buildings. Are factors like price, quality, efficiency, and convenience for the client considered?
Yeah, okay, so Zakaria with us?
Yes.
Yes, please. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, I would like to comment on this. Just a small note about the previous discussion. We talked about lack of skill in contractor and in FM. It is also true that there is lack of skill among the consultants community as well. I mean, this is true. So there has to be convergence between the process people, which is HVAC people, and controls people. Controls people and HVAC people cannot independently work on their systems in their bubbles. There has to be an integrated approach so that the HVAC process people will start understanding more of controls, and controls people will start understanding more of HVAC, so that the end result can be a good delivery of functionality of the control system. So that's about that. But here, when we talk about state-of-the-art control system, specifying that control system, definitely the consultant need to be to keep himself abreast of what is happening in the market, and also consideration of the owner's requirement, as well as the budgetary constraints, project delivery schedule. Many times what we faced is there is a sales team that comes in and gives a good you can say presentation about the features of their control system, but their own controls technician team, when they commission it, they will not be able to deliver those functionality that was claimed by the sales team. So during the time of commissioning, sales team is nowhere to be found, and the technician team probably says that the sales team told many things which is something they are not aware. So the technician team that is available in the market are not able to extract the full functionality of their own control system. Many times we had to argue with them that you don't know your control system sufficiently enough. So these are all the problems. So it is not necessary that state-of-the-art control system every time solves the problem. But, we need to have smart people along with smart technology. I mean, then only we will get appropriate result out of the smart technology.
Can I add a small point? It's so true, because I think all of us are talking about just awareness, right? Awareness and savvy part of it. We should understand the historical BMS growth. BMS was a very core mechanical equipment, HVAC equipment related system, but it has grown out beyond that. We are now talking cloud and CPI and RF and LoRaWAN and various protocols. So various teams of engineers are required at various points for a top BMS system to be done, either designed or commissioned properly. So we are very, very aware of this. We are happy to share technology and know-how. In fact, we are talking to one of the leading universities in UAE, and we are planning to design a system, design a course which will come out as a BMS certificate. We are also planning that. I so quickly understand that. I've been in this industry for 20 plus years, so I know how it has evolved into more of an IT thing than a mechanical engineer thing. I get that.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you.
Yes, and I have two questions. This is coming from Dedi El Rashid, and he's asked these questions in response to what Azmi spoke and also what Ahmed spoke. So the question to Azmi is, what Azmi said is a theoretical guideline, but some owners, they don't want to spend the expenses to pay the integrated team from the beginning of the design process as per the guideline. How do you convince the owner that this process is beneficial to the owner? So that's a question to Azmi. And the question to Ahmed is, some of the building owners, to reduce their capex, they mix all the suppliers, BAS, controls, sensors, data cables with different vendors. And finally, the system does not perform as required by operations. And usually it is the FM that is blamed as not being competent. So yes, the first question to Azmi, the second one to Ahmed.
Okay.
And maybe Pamela can jump in to add something if she wishes to.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. It is a good one, and we face it every day. The problem also is that because this requirement for is sometimes also mandated by the regulations. However, it is becoming like paperwork business. So when the regulation calls for example, for early commissioning of systems, I mean from the early stages of the project. So what happens is like a paperwork job to show the authorities that this is being done throughout the phase of the project. However, what is the benefit outcome of it is negligible or near negligible, since paperwork can be done by a set of people, while the actual and the idea behind the regulation is slightly different. So awareness, and I would say awareness is very important. There are several factors that we can really push to help the clients understand the benefits of these, like what mentioned in the question, like commissioning, for example. So so awareness is one thing. Having good examples is another thing. So and I would give an example, like when you want to sell a smartphone nowadays, what is really encouraging people to buy it? So again, it is the benefits what people are gaining from smartphones, and you can see that people who are really who have low income or high income, regardless, they are looking forward to buy these smartphones. And I think the same thing will happen when smart buildings and smart HVAC systems are being implemented in a proper way to give benefit to people. And again, when you buy a smartphone, there are many features there, but I am sure not all of us are using all of these features. So when we talked previously about luxury, yes, luxury is there for some features, and people might see some of these features as luxury. However, some other features, people will see them as important requirements or essential needs. And again, some other people will find those as essential, while other, it differs from one person to one person. And when we enter into a building, a temperature might be a luxury thing for some people who are not really interested in temperature, but they are in a humidity, or they are in lighting, or whatever. So there are a set of features which comes with the smart building, but it doesn't have to be at the same level of importance to each and every occupant. So, but as a bulk, it is important, and by implementing it properly, by ensuring that we are gaining benefits out of it, this is one of the important things which will encourage clients to adopt such systems. And one final point is regulations. We should rely also, and this is maybe comes in the first, regulations should really be enforced everywhere in the world, including here in the UAE, to encourage building owners to adopt such systems and to do it and to implement it properly. So regulations is very, very important.
Thank you, Asmi. Ahmed?
Yeah, the simple answer to this question is true. Some owners do this. I can confirm to you that we are not these owners. However, I see the FM is to be blamed. We're not just blaming the FM team, and I can give you many examples from FM teams in UAE. The issue here is buildings by nature are not engineers' buildings. They are there to do something, a different function. And maintaining the building is a sub-function, is a support function for the building. So if we talk about a hotel is there, the general manager, who is the manager of the building, is there to sell hotel rooms, to generate revenue and sales. In the meantime, if he can have one of his technicians promoted to be a director of engineering, pay him less, he's saving money, making more money to the owner, he's going to be a good GM. Who can stop him from doing this? If there is a regulation that this person must be certified, must be an engineer, then he cannot do this anymore. And I can tell you, I know of someone personally, he's a cluster director of engineering for one of the biggest companies in the world, and he's originally a French polisher. Talk to me about why you are blaming FM teams. The FM teams are, to be honest, they are the victim. It's the GMs, the operators, are causing this trouble.
Mm-hmm. I would like to add one example here, actually, which confirms what Ahmed is saying. And one of the hotels which we visited recently, the new facilities engineer had a challenge. when he took over from the previous engineer. This challenge was, you know, how to maintain the, he knows that, for example, the fresh air unit should be switched on. However, how to maintain energy bills, how to make sure that this energy bills is being optimized during his tenure, while and compared to the previous year, knowing that the previous facilities engineer has put this fresh air unit off to save energy and to show the management of the hotel that we are saving energy, and you see here are the records. So yeah, these are challenges which are faced by facilities team, and they are having hard times, I mean, to find solutions for.
Thank you so much. Now this is more of a comment than a question, and this is coming from Nimal Amukutowa, who's a UAE-based consultant, and he says in response to an earlier question, the FM team should be involved at the inception of the project. I think there are two questions for Netix, and maybe Pamela can answer this. The first one is definitely directed at them, and oops, let me just, I lost that question, didn't I? Let me just go to that.
Oh, that was the question about what are all the products we have, I think. Was it?
Yes, I think you answered that privately.
Yeah, I answered that.
Okay.
Not privately, it's in the answered part, I think.
It's not. So do you
yeah,
want?
They had a question on what's our portfolio. So I just established that some sensors, field devices, to meters, to DDCs, to integrators, gateways, BMS software, smart city gateways, and other subsystems we have. So we have a huge portfolio. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And this question also, perhaps you can answer. It says, please explain the different protocols of SAM project, like Modbus on electrical and BACnet on HVAC, which is creating, which sometimes creates integration issues. Is it possible to have same communication language on the project without gateway and routers?
No, because we are now talking about multi-protocol, multi-systems. So there are electrical devices which will be on Modbus. There are mechanical equipment like pillars which will be on BACnet. There will be lighting which is on KNX. So there will be the best of technologies coming out with their own protocols. But there are people like us, I think, who can do it smartly. Only when you don't have the skill to integrate multiple technologies, then you have a failure at hand. But this can be done. I don't think it's a challenge.
Okay. I have a question from Adib Bastami, who has later on written saying his question has been ignored. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ignore your question. But this question is, how popular is it? How popular is the use of energy recovery options on HVAC units, such as AHUs? Perhaps I didn't ask this question thinking, here we are focusing on smart HVAC systems. Maybe I stand corrected. Someone who would like to answer this? Perhaps.
I can take that.
Azmi can reply this.
Yeah, I can, maybe after Ahmed.
Yeah, Ahmed.
I would just say very popular. It's everywhere. We have it in all our hotels. We'll come back to the FM team. They don't maintain it. I visited one of our hotels, and they had. I saw that the heat recovery was not working, and asked why the belt is not there and why the belts are not there. Oh, we're missing 8 of them because each one is 2,000 dirhams, so we cannot pay for it. So yes, they are there, but they're not maintained.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I would add that it is actually mandatory by the regulation whenever we have the fresh air quantity in a building above a certain limit. It becomes mandatory requirement. That's why we find it in many buildings in the UAE and worldwide, and it is part of the standard as well. The energy standard of ASHRAE, the ventilation standard of ASHRAE as well, and many other standards. So it is mandated, and it is very popular for these reasons.
Thank you so much. There are 3 questions. We have quite run out of time, but if you can please bear with me, I'll just ask these 3 questions. The first one is coming from Ather Naseem Siddiqui, when he says the methodology and logic of HVAC systems will be designed by the HVAC consultant, but the contractor must be trained, especially wiring of low and high voltage wiring. How can we control the contractor? Perhaps Zakaria would like to answer this.
Yeah, actually, the how to control contractor is controlled based on specifications, as well as the site consultant team. That is a basis of supposed to be controlling the contractor, and also it is expected that contractor should be providing skilled members of members from their side, so that proper protocols in terms of installation is being implemented. So that's basically what it is.
Okay, I'm just going to have time perhaps for one question, and this is from Munir Jode, and he says, since we are still in testing the HVAC smart systems, do you recommend that owners and clients keep these standard operating procedures and integrations with HVAC smart systems away from contract budget teams, and to be as a part of provisional sum where budget will be decided based after full collaboration agreement from all stakeholders, from owner till operation management FM team, linking consultants, suppliers, contractors, and commissioning teams on board. Then the CapEx will invest in the true way, and OpEx will not struggle in the long term. Any other recommendations, since there is a general lag and lack of new technologies? I quite don't understand the last bit, but I think what he's saying really is about the budgeting and how we can balance CapEx and OpEx, sorry.
Okay.
So ask me, what do you think that taking this the control and PMS of the HVAC system sure, to be part of a provisional sum and to take it away from the contract? Do you think that this will help?
If there is no holistic approach on the job during the design phase, where the parties are collaborating together to prepare a design, so this holistic approach is absent. If the commissioning from the early stages of the project is absent, yes, this is a good idea that to have it as provisional sum or any other system that is not really mature in design. As truly said in the question, that it really requires collaboration between the HVAC system, the controls engineer, and some other systems which are interfaced with the HVAC. So if we didn't do this collaboration in the design phase, and we didn't understand the owner's requirement in the design stage, because commissioning process, actually, when it starts in the design, it is all about implementing and reflecting the owner requirement into the design. So if this is not there, if we don't know what the owner really needs, then yes, the owner should keep it as a provisional sum, and he should convey his requirements to the contractor and the design team and the consultant who is also on board during the construction phase, and then this design will be elaborated and will be completed. So yeah, I agree to have it as provisional sum, but I prefer and I advise always that it should actually instead of have, because here the cost might really expand and might go out of budget, and this is a concern, and it happened in several projects where the budget goes beyond what is really there in the beginning, and then this is a restriction. So the true advice is do it from the beginning, have this holistic approach, have the commissioning process starting in the beginning of the project, and this will be better than what we are talking about here, and having a contractor, a specified contractor working on this in the construction stage.
I agree with you. I don't think that also having this or postpone it or push it to the construction stage, that this will really help in minimizing the issues there. Yeah, okay. So and then what else what do we have also?
We have one more question, but we really have run out of time. Maybe you want to take it, Mansoor? Is that all right for you?
I think we
Yeah.
can have one question and then we'll close.
Then we close, yes. This is coming from Mohammed Lahlu, and he says, VRF systems are smart systems and can be integrated very easily with BMS. The issue with smart homes is a high cost, and if the cost is economical, then these approaches will get popular. I think it's more like a observation. It's an observation than a question, but if you want to respond to this, please go ahead.
So yeah, what here meant, like as you said, it's a comment. The VRF system, it's one of the different systems that used for air conditioning. Yes, it might be. And now we have developed systems and can be used. It also having this system, I mean. Sometimes justify the cost of that one if we have it like high cost because of the technologies and the smart things there. But we are talking here about one particular system. We have many other systems that we still need to go through or have the smart components of the HVAC system there. So I think for now we want to stop here. I really want to thank our panelists, Ahmed, Pamela, Azmi, and Zakaria. Thank you very much. And just to conclude here, we say that our goal of smart HVAC system is to have a system that knows what's going on a building, keeps everything properly cooled, saves money, and mitigates any issues associated with the misuse. So having also some recommendations, I found that it is also very important to share it, and this is possibly the recommendations of the conference. We need to have qualifications for the technicians and teams. Here we call maybe the relevant or related authorities to have a set of qualifications for those, so as to have the right people in the right place. Again, also the lack of skills of the consultants. This is for the owners. Again, drop the project later on in many complications and issues. We need like more regulations to to put the boundaries and to put restrictions over to have the like smart and developed systems. Thank you again. Thank you all for your time. And Surinder, do you need to add anything there?
Yes, I'd just like to thank, like you did earlier, I would like to thank the panelists. Azmi Abul Huda of Emergy, thank you so much, and Ahmed Al-Kiki of Hvac Hospitality, and Mohammed Zakaria from Al Suhaimi Protect Cooling in Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much, and a big thanks to you also, Mansoor, for so ably chairing this interesting webinar. We had, I think, great session, great questions, and the panelists were very forthcoming in their answers. Our thanks to our bronze sponsor, NetX Global, to Pamela, Venkat, and Sanjeev. Thank you so much for coming on board for this very important webinar. I think you've really added a lot of value to this. And also to our strategic knowledge partner, Khatib Alami, and our strategic HVACR recruitment partner, careerspay.com. And I would also like to take the opportunity to thank my team at CPI Industry. They've done a wonderful job in organizing this particular event. And what we will do as a follow-up is we have taken note of almost everything that's been said, and we are going to be carrying a detailed post-event report in August and September. On that note, thank you all for participating in this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much. Thanks.
شكرا شباب. Thank you very much. يعطيكم العافية. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.